Have you ever wondered what it would be like to transform your life in just 1 week? Imagine finding serenity, focus, and happiness by adopting the small habits that great Stoic thinkers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius championed centuries ago. Are you ready to challenge your mind and change the course of your story? Stay until the end and discover how these 10 habits can transform the way you live. Stoic philosophy, born in ancient Greece, offers a practical guide to living with wisdom, resilience, and serenity. These 10 Stoic habits are not just theoretical reflections. These are applicable practices that can literally change your life in 7 days. In today's video, you will learn how to incorporate temperance, discipline, and reflection into your daily routine, reaching a new level of personal growth. Ready to embark on this journey? Chapter 1. Start the day with reflection. Stoic morning. Every dawn, the light that shines through the curtains brings with it the promise of a new beginning. Still in the quiet of your room, before the world begins to demand your attention, allow yourself a few minutes of reflection. This is not an empty exercise, but a time to prepare the mind, like a general reviewing the map before battle. Think about the day ahead of you. What challenges await? What choices might appear as forks in the path? Just as a gardener tends the soil before planting, you are nourishing the soil of your soul. Epictetus, the sage who transformed truths into razor-sharp words, once observed that it is not events that disturb us, but the meaning we attribute to them. With this in mind, ask yourself, what are the stories I will tell myself today? After all, there is no more powerful narrative than the one we create within ourselves. These minutes of reflection are more than a morning ritual. They are an anchor in a rough sea. However, reflection is not an invitation to anxiety. Don't imagine disasters, but consider how you can navigate them with grace and courage. Think of your inner strength as a candle that can light up even the darkest days. And if you stumble upon a thought that seems too heavy, remember that even the most rigid Stoics believed in the softness of starting over. When you finally stand up, feel your feet touch the floor, not just as a banal action, but as the first conscious act of the day. Every step you take is a small symbol of movement, a reminder that life goes on, and you have the power to direct it. The outside world will still be there, waiting with its demands and noises. However, by creating this small pause as soon as you wake up, you will have already planted a seed of calm that you can carry with you throughout the day. Chapter 2. Practice temperance in the simplicity of daily choices. The great truths of life are often hidden. Temperance, that virtue forgotten by so many, is not a brake on pleasure, but a compass that points to balance. If Stoicism is an invitation to wisdom, temperance is the first step in the delicate dance between desire and self-control. Consider, for example, the food we put on our plates. Eating is an act that connects the body to the soul, but it is also a trap for excess. How many times do we allow ourselves to be carried away by impulses, as if flavors could fill voids that have nothing to do with hunger? Temperance here does not require deprivation, but conscious appreciation. It's savoring each bite as if it were a poem written in silence. The same goes for work, where excess can mask a desperate search for validation. Working without limits is like trying to fill a glass without realizing it is already overflowing. Temperance teaches us to respect our own capabilities, to draw boundaries that preserve health and spirit. However, temperance is not a rigid commandment. It's more like a gentle conversation you have with yourself throughout the day. Do I really need this right now? Is a simple question, but loaded with power. And the answer will often be a reminder that happiness is not in accumulation, but in sufficiency. Seneca, one of the greatest defenders of this virtue, said that the soul needs little to be happy. He did not preach extreme detachment, but a conscious appreciation of what really matters. And when we look at our own lives, we realize that many of the things that seem indispensable to us are, in fact, luxuries that we have learned to confuse with necessities. Practicing temperance is also an act of rebellion against the culture of excess. It is refusing the superfluous, not as a renunciation, but as a rescue of the essence. And in doing so, we find a freedom that few experience, the freedom to live at peace with what we have, without being slaves to what we desire. Thus, in the silence of small choices, temperance reveals itself as a discreet but indispensable guide. She teaches us that true wealth is not in what we accumulate, but in the space we create to fully appreciate each moment. And that in itself is already a form of transcendence. Chapter 3. Accept what you can't control. Accepting what we cannot control is perhaps one of the most difficult and liberating lessons that Stoic philosophy offers us. Imagine for a moment that life is like a vast ocean. You can adjust the sails, row with determination, or even dive into the deep waters. However, tides, wind, and storms are forces that simply do not obey your will. So it is with the events that occur around us. They follow their course, regardless of our expectations. Seneca, in his Stoic wisdom, alerts us to the suffering that arises not from reality itself, but from our desire to shape it in our own way. When we resist the inevitable, we create for ourselves an invisible prison, an endless struggle against what is already beyond our grasp. By accepting what we cannot change, we free ourselves from these chains, and paradoxically find an inner power that previously seemed unattainable. Throughout the day, life presents us with countless moments that are beyond our control. The traffic that delays our arrival, the rude comment from a colleague, the rain that ruins outdoor plans. In these situations, the mind, eager for answers, often goes into a whirlwind of frustration. But Stoicism offers us an alternative. Instead of reacting with revolt, we can observe these events with serenity and indifference. After all, we are not responsible for the circumstances, but rather for our responses to them. Accepting what we cannot control does not mean apathy or resignation. Quite the opposite. It is an act of courage, a conscious decision to focus our energy on what really matters, our choices and actions. Think of it like a gardener who cares for the plants under his care, but understands that climate, soil, and seasons are elements he can never master. This practice, although simple in theory, requires effort and repetition. It is a skill that develops over time, like learning to play an instrument or mastering a new language. At first, you may find yourself reacting automatically, trying to control the uncontrollable. But with patience, you will begin to notice the difference between what depends on you and what doesn't. And in this distinction lies true freedom. In times of difficulty, ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, allow yourself to release the weight of that concern. It is not an easy task, especially in emotional situations or when expectations have been betrayed. But it is at these times that Stoic philosophy shows its transformative power. By letting go of what can't be changed, you create space to focus on what can really make a difference. Stoicism also invites us to consider time as an element that often escapes our reach. We can't control how much time we have or when it will run out, but we can decide how to use it, making each moment meaningful without holding on to regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most notable Stoic thinkers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this and you will find strength." His words resonate as a reminder that true strength lies not in trying to shape the world in our image, but in shaping our response to the world. So, throughout each day, allow yourself to practice this acceptance. Start with small moments, a delay, a trivial argument, or even a plan that didn't go as expected. Gradually, this attitude will expand to larger challenges such as losses or unexpected changes. Acceptance does not eliminate pain, but it transforms it, allowing it to become a part of growth rather than an obstacle. Ultimately, accepting what we cannot control, is a form of respect for life itself. It is recognizing that although we cannot dictate all its directions, we can navigate it with dignity and wisdom. And on this journey, each step taken with serenity becomes an act of greatness, a celebration of what it means to be truly human. Chapter 4. Practice. Memento mori. Remember death. In the frenetic pace of everyday life, it's easy to forget the importance of a calm mind. Amid obligations, deadlines, and constant distractions, our attention becomes fragmented, like a mirror that breaks into 1,000 pieces. However, there is invaluable power in cultivating moments of mental stillness, a habit that reconnects us with what really matters. This is not a luxury reserved for monks or philosophers, but a practice accessible to anyone seeking balance. Imagine your mind as a lake. When it is calm, it reflects the sky clearly, revealing the nuances of blue and passing clouds. However, when agitated, the waters become cloudy, obscuring vision. This is our mind, a surface that needs tranquility to understand the world around it, and more importantly, the inner world. Serenity is not a permanent state, but something that must be cultivated continuously, as if we were feeding a delicate flame that warms without consuming. The Stoics, masters of finding wisdom in simplicity, advocated the practice of meditation as a powerful tool for calming the mind. In silence, away from external distractions, we find space to reflect on our actions, emotions, and intentions. An elaborate ritual is not necessary. Just close your eyes and watch yourself breathe. Each inhale is a reminder that we are alive, and each exhale is a chance to let go of what no longer serves. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, peace comes from within. Don't look for it outside. This advice, as direct as it is profound, challenges us to stop looking for serenity in places or people, directing the search to where it really resides, within ourselves. And in doing so, we discover that many of the anxieties we carry are created by our own restless mind, which insists on revisiting the past or projecting fears into the future. However, cultivating serenity does not mean escaping responsibilities or ignoring life's challenges. On the contrary, it is facing them with a clarity that only a calm mind can provide. When we free ourselves from the constant noise, both external and internal, we find space to see solutions that previously seemed hidden. Serenity is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of balance in the midst of it. The practice of seeking this mental state can begin with small moments in everyday life. It could be while drinking coffee in the morning, watching the steam rising from the cup as if it were a sign of calm, or during a walk, where each step is a silent conversation with the ground. The key is to transform these simple moments into acts of contemplation, into conscious pauses that take us away from the hustle and bustle and connect us to the present moment. There are those who say that silence is scary, especially in an era where we are used to filling every second with stimuli. But it is precisely in this silence that we find the answers we seek so much. It challenges us to confront our own thoughts and at the same time offers us the opportunity to reorganize them. It's like cleaning a messy room where each object finds its rightful place and the space breathes again. Think of serenity as a loyal friend, always there, but often ignored. When we finally pay attention to him, we realize how much his company transforms us. It does not promise to solve all problems, but it gives us the tools to face them wisely. And most of the time, that shift in perspective is all we need. Throughout life, there will be moments of inevitable chaos, of turbulence that is beyond our control. At these times, serenity becomes a refuge, not to escape, but to recharge. It's the moment we close our eyes in the middle of a storm and, for a brief moment, find peace in the eye of the hurricane. This practice, so simple and at the same time so profound, teaches us that calm is not the opposite of chaos, but its necessary counterpart. Ultimately, serenity is a choice, not one we make once and forget, but a constant decision, renewed every moment. And by choosing calm over agitation, reflection over reaction, we are not only shaping our days, but also ourselves. After all, life is more than surviving the storms. It's learning to dance in the rain with lightness and grace. Chapter 5. Cultivate gratitude. There is a certain magic in living each day as if it were unique, although we know that this idea often slips through our fingers like sand in the wind. Routine, with its insistent weight, tends to push us into a state of automatism, where moments go unnoticed, like blurred landscapes seen through the window of a speeding train. However, when we adopt the intention to live fully in the now, something extraordinary happens. The details we previously ignored begin to shine with renewed clarity. Think, for example, of the simplicity of a sunset. How many times is the sky painted in shades of orange and pink without us noticing? And yet, on one of those rare occasions when we stop to look, we are filled with a kind of silent awe, a connection that transcends the ordinary. Living in the present is, in a way, a deliberate choice to notice these moments and recognize them for what they really are. Ephemeral, but deeply significant. Epictetus, with his practical and enlightening vision, emphasized the importance of focusing on what is within our reach and leaving aside distractions that do not belong to us. Only worry about what you can control, he said, as an invitation for us to focus our energy on the present moment. And indeed, it is only in the now that our choices have weight and our actions have meaning. The past is gone, and the future is just a promise. When we learn to fully inhabit the present, we discover new depth in situations that previously seemed banal. A conversation takes on more weight because we are actually listening rather than waiting for our turn to speak. A meal becomes a celebration of flavors, not just fuel for the next task. Each moment unfolds like a flower petal, revealing layers that previously went unnoticed. However, living in the present is not something that happens automatically. It's a conscious effort, almost like learning to see the world through a child's eyes again. It requires a certain degree of detachment, of freeing yourself from the prison of constant worries about what could have been or what is yet to come. It's not about ignoring the past or the future, but about recognizing that they cannot exist without the now, which is where we really are. This state of full presence does not need to be reserved for extraordinary moments. It can be cultivated in the simplest tasks, such as washing dishes or walking to work. When we pay attention to the sound of running water, the weight of the dishes in our hands, or the rhythm of our steps, we transform these everyday actions into small acts of meditation. It's as if we are training our minds to find beauty and meaning in everything, no matter how small it may seem. There are, of course, challenges along the way. The mind, restless by nature, often wanders far away, sinking into worries or digressions. But that's where practice comes in. When we notice our attention has wandered, we can gently bring it back, as if we were guiding a lost friend home. Each return to the present is a victory, a reminder that we are capable of choosing where we put our energy. Marco Aurelio, in his Meditations, pondered the brevity of life and the importance of making the most of every moment. You could stop living right now. Let it determine what you do, say, and think. His words are a call to action, a reminder that the present is not just a passing moment, but the very heart of existence. Throughout this process, you may notice a subtle but profound shift in your perspective. Things that once seemed urgent or overwhelming begin to lose their power, while what really matters comes to the fore. You discover that life, in all its complexity, is made up of moments that accumulate, like pearls on a necklace. And by choosing to live each of them with presence and intention, you are actually building something precious. Living in the present is therefore an act of courage and gratitude. It is a commitment to be fully here, now, despite distractions and challenges. It is not an easy task, but it is, without a doubt, one of the most rewarding, because at the end of the day, the present is all we really have, and when we embrace it, we discover that it is more than enough. Chapter 6. Face intentional discomforts. The idea of exercising daily gratitude may seem at first glance to be a simple, almost naive practice. However, when we delve into this habit with genuine intention, we discover that it not only transforms our perspective, but also reshapes the fabric of everyday life. Being grateful, after all, is not just recognizing the obvious, like a sunny day or an unexpected smile, but also finding beauty in the subtlest nuances, in the small gifts that often go unnoticed. There is something profoundly powerful about starting your day with a moment of gratitude. Imagine waking up and before thoughts about the day's tasks even settle in, pausing for a moment to reflect on something you are truly grateful for. It could be the comfort of a soft pillow, the soothing sound of rain outside, or simply being alive. This gesture, although brief, has the power to shape your entire state of mind, as if it were a spark that lights an internal fire of contentment. The Stoics, always attentive to simplicity and the essential, taught that gratitude should not be reserved only for great achievements or remarkable moments. Seneca, for example, spoke of the importance of recognizing the abundance that already exists in our lives, instead of focusing only on what we still lack. According to him, happiness lies in not wanting what we don't have, but in fully enjoying what we already have. A phrase that, when applied, challenges us to look within with honesty and reverence. However, practicing gratitude is not denying the challenges or difficulties we face. On the contrary, it is finding meaning even in adversity. It's looking at a setback and realizing the learning it offers, as if each obstacle were a ladder that lifts us up. This vision, although demanding, is liberating, as it teaches us to value even the most difficult moments as part of our journey. As we cultivate gratitude, we realize that it has a multiplier effect. When we express appreciation for something or someone, that energy reverberates around us, touching others in unexpected ways. Think, for example, of sincerely thanking someone for a kind gesture, no matter how small. The sparkle in that person's eyes, the surprise on their face. All of this is a reflection of how gratitude can create deeper, more meaningful connections. But it's not always easy to maintain this habit. The whirlwind of routine, daily challenges, and even our own inclination to focus on what is wrong can overshadow the reasons to be grateful. It is in these moments that intentional practice becomes even more important. Keeping a gratitude journal, for example, can be a valuable tool. By writing down 3 things you are grateful for every day, no matter how simple they may be, you train your mind to actively look for the positive, like someone looking for stars in a cloudy sky. Furthermore, gratitude has the power to reconnect us with the present. When we recognize something we are grateful for, we are actually anchoring our attention in the now. We are allowing ourselves to feel the fullness of the moment without getting lost in worries or regrets. It's as if gratitude was a bridge that takes us back to what really matters, moving us away from the distractions that often steal our focus. Marco Aurelio, in his Reflections, approached gratitude as a reminder of our interconnection with the world. He recognized that everything we have, from the people in our lives to the opportunities we encounter, is the result of an intricate web of events and choices. This understanding invites us to see gratitude not just as an individual act, but as a celebration of our connection to something greater. The daily practice of gratitude also teaches us to redefine what success or wealth means. In a world that often measures value by external metrics like material possessions or status, gratitude reminds us that true abundance lies in how we perceive and appreciate life. It's not about accumulating more, but about seeing what we already have with fresh eyes, as if we were discovering a hidden treasure in plain sight. Finally, daily gratitude is, above all, an act of humility. It is recognizing that we are not self-sufficient, that our lives are enriched by the contributions of others and the small miracles of everyday life. And in doing so, we become more aware, more present, and perhaps more human. And gratitude is not just a practice, it is a way of living, of being in the world with a heart open to receive and at the same time to share. Chapter 7. Meditate on serenity. Serenity, that rare jewel in the tangle of human emotions, is a state that many crave, but few fully understand. It is not the absence of movement or challenges, but rather an internal harmony that remains intact even in the face of life's storms. Meditating on serenity is not just a contemplative act, but an invitation to embrace the silence that lives within us and find refuge there, even when everything around seems to fall apart. When we think of serenity, we often imagine a calm lake, untouched by the wind. But unlike this static image, human serenity is active, a delicate dance between acceptance of what we cannot change and the effort to shape what is within our power. It is in this balance that its true strength lies, as if it were the thread that unites the disconnected parts of our existence. Marcus Aurelius, in his Stoic wisdom, wrote that you have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This simple phrase encapsulates the essence of serenity. It is a reminder that our inner peace does not depend on circumstances, but on the way we choose to react to them. By meditating on this, we learn not to resist the inevitable, but to flow with it, like a river that goes around the rocks without losing its direction. The practice of serenity begins with mindfulness. Being present, fully aware of the now, is an act of courage in a world that constantly pressures us to live in the past or worry about the future. This state of attention allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without being dominated by them, like someone watching clouds passing across the sky, knowing that they are not permanent. Serenity also demands that we remove ourselves from noise. In a world where constant connectivity bombards us with information, opinions, and demands, finding moments of silence has become an almost revolutionary act. It is in this silent space that we can reconnect with what is essential, listen to the subtle voice of our intuition, and rediscover what really matters. However, cultivating serenity does not mean ignoring chaos or running away from challenges. It is rather facing these realities with a calm heart and a clear mind. When we allow ourselves to pause, breathe deeply, and reflect, we realize that many of the things that trouble us have little or no importance in the grand scheme of life. This realization in itself is liberating. Serenity is not a state we achieve once and for all, but an ongoing process, a daily practice of choice and intention. In each moment, we have the opportunity to draw closer to it, whether by choosing to respond patiently rather than react impulsively, or by finding beauty in simple things and human interactions. When meditating on serenity, we discover that it is not a luxury, but a necessity, a compass that guides us through uncertainty. And as we move closer to it, we not only become more resilient, but also more compassionate, both towards ourselves and others. After all, a serene heart is like a candle lit in a dark room, spreading light and warmth, even in the most challenging moments. Chapter 8. Avoid hasty judgments. Avoiding hasty judgments is a practice that requires patience and constant vigilance over our own thoughts. We are often tempted to label situations, people, or events based on quick impressions, instinctive reactions, or prejudices that, for the most part, we do not even fully recognize. However, by giving into this tendency, we close the door to understanding the nuances, contexts, and complexities that shape reality. The Stoics, masters of cultivating the art of observing before reacting, often highlighted the importance of containing the momentum of immediate judgment. Marcus Aurelius, in his Reflections, recalled that external things do not touch the soul. Disturbance comes only from our own judgment about them. It's a clear lesson. What affects us deeply only does so because we choose to interpret it that way. Thus, by avoiding hasty judgments, we gain the freedom to react with more wisdom and less emotion. Imagine a common situation. Someone interrupts you in a conversation or acts rudely in traffic. The automatic response may be resentment or anger, accompanied by thoughts about the person's supposed bad nature. However, when we pause and reflect, it is possible to realize that we know nothing about what motivated that attitude. Perhaps the interruption was a reflection of nervousness, and the rudeness the result of a difficult day. By avoiding judgment, we create space for empathy, which in turn protects us from the weight of unnecessary negative emotions. Practicing this restraint requires that we cultivate the ability to observe our internal reactions as if we were spectators of our own minds. When something provokes us, the tendency is for quick thoughts and definitive opinions to flood our consciousness. But by training our attention to identify this moment, we can deliberately slow down, question, and reframe. It is not denying what we feel, but rather investigating whether it is really valid or just the result of a hasty perception. Avoiding hasty judgments also requires a deep understanding that reality is not static. What seems true today may tomorrow turn out to be false or incomplete. People change, contexts evolve, and circumstances transform. Hasty judgment, therefore, not only limits our ability to adapt, but also isolates us from the richness of possibilities. Furthermore, this practice connects us directly to the concept of humility. When we recognize that we do not have all the information, or that our vision may be distorted by our own experiences and beliefs, we accept our imperfect human condition. This awareness, far from being a burden, is a reminder that there is always something to learn, and that opening up to the unknown is an act of courage and wisdom. The benefits of avoiding quick judgments are not limited to external relations. By applying the same principle to ourselves, we avoid exaggerated self-criticism and the burden of defining ourselves by momentary mistakes. After all, how can we hope to fully understand others if we often don't even understand our own motivations? This pause in judgment gives us space for self-acceptance and building a more compassionate internal dialogue. Practicing postponement of judgment does not mean ignoring or avoiding decisions. On the contrary, it is a skill that allows us to make more thoughtful decisions that are aligned with our values. It's learning to differentiate between the need for action and the trap of reactivity. Over time, this practice transforms the way we navigate through life, making us less susceptible to emotional tides and more confident in our ability to discern. In the end, avoiding hasty judgments is not just a philosophical practice. It is a gift we give to ourselves and the world around us. It's choosing clarity over confusion, understanding over prejudice, and wisdom over impulsiveness. And in doing so, we discover that in the silence between stimulus and response lies the freedom to be truly human. Chapter 9. Practice resilience. Do the same for Chapter 9. Practice resilience. Resilience, often understood as the ability to bounce back in the face of adversity, is more than a simple resistance skill. It is an internal quality that, when cultivated, allows us to transform difficulties into opportunities, transforming pain into strength. And the true essence of resilience is not in never falling, but in always having the courage to get up, wiser and stronger than before. The Stoics, in turn, had a clear view of resilience, considering it a central virtue for living a full and purposeful life. Seneca, for example, said, "Adversity reveals genius, prosperity hides it." These words are an invitation to look at difficulties not as something to be feared, but as fertile ground where the best versions of ourselves can flourish. When everything seems to fall apart, it is at that moment that we are called to connect with the inner strength, the one that often remains dormant until circumstances force us to awaken it. Imagine a river which encounters rocks in its path. What happens? It doesn't stop flowing. He works around it. He adapts. He continues his journey. Human resilience is exactly that, the ability to find a way even when obstacles seem insurmountable. It is not the absence of pain or suffering, but the ability to go through them and continue walking with the certainty that tomorrow will always bring new opportunities. However, the practice of resilience is neither automatic nor natural. It is something that must be actively cultivated day after day. This involves, first of all, great self-knowledge, as it is impossible to be resilient if we do not understand our own limitations and strengths. We need to be in touch with our emotions without ignoring or rejecting them, but allowing ourselves to feel them fully. Only in this way can we identify what we need to change, what we should learn, and most importantly, what is already within us, waiting to be activated. One of the most powerful ways to practice resilience is through acceptance. Accept that life is unpredictable, that losses are part of the path, that pain is an inevitable companion on our human journey. This acceptance is not passivity, but a deep understanding that we cannot control everything. By abandoning the constant struggle against what we cannot change, we gain space to focus on what is within: our reach, our attitude, our perspective, and our actions. Furthermore, resilience is fueled by our ability to find meaning, even in the most challenging situations. Stoic philosophy suggests that it is not the events themselves that affect us, but rather the interpretation we give to them. When we can learn lessons from difficulties, when we see each obstacle as an opportunity for growth, our inner strength is strengthened. And in doing so, we begin to realize that each experience, good or bad, contributes to building a wiser and stronger version of ourselves. Practicing resilience also requires a dose of courage. As we're often faced with fear of change or vulnerability, it takes courage to allow ourselves to be imperfect, to face uncertainty without the need for absolute control. This involves accepting that we don't have all the answers, but still moving forward with confidence that along the journey, we will find the answers we seek. A powerful metaphor about resilience comes from the process of forging iron. For iron to become a sharp sword, it needs to be heated to high temperatures and shaped under pressure. Likewise, we as human beings are forged by life's difficult experiences. Every challenge, every trial is an opportunity to become stronger, more shaped by wisdom and experience. Finally, resilience is a daily choice. It is not something we achieve once and for all, but an ongoing practice, a way of living that allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with a mindset focused on what we can control. When we embrace this practice, we discover that we are stronger than we imagine, and that regardless of the adversities that come our way, we can always choose how to react. We can always choose to grow. And in this process, resilience teaches us to be more human, more fulfilled, and more connected with what really matters. Chapter 10. Seek wisdom in daily actions. Wisdom, often associated with great thinkers or moments of deep reflection, is also found in small, everyday actions. Life, in its simplest essence, is a constant opportunity for learning, a school where the most valuable lessons are not taught in books but lived at every step. In every decision, in every gesture, there is an invitation for wisdom to manifest itself. It is in the details of the routine that Stoicism proposes that we find true wisdom, one that does not only depend on great moments of contemplation, but on the choices we make throughout the day. Stoic philosophers believed that we did not need to seek wisdom in grand speeches or isolated moments, but in how we deal with the daily demands of life. Epictetus, for example, taught that it doesn't matter what happens to us, but how we react to it. In other words, wisdom lies in learning to respond with balance, with consideration, whether in the face of a simple situation, such as a trivial discussion, or in the face of great adversity. The art of living wisely, therefore, begins the moment we wake up and extends to every act we perform throughout the day. Every daily action is an opportunity to apply the principles we value and want to cultivate. When we get up in the morning, the way we choose to start the day reflects our understanding of life. When making a decision, no matter how simple it may be, such as what to eat or which path to take, we are unconsciously exercising our wisdom. These choices may seem trivial, but they are what form character and prepare us for more complex decisions. True wisdom is not only manifested in great choices, but also in the way we face daily challenges. Imagine the routine of someone facing the stress of a busy day. He wakes up in a hurry, barely has time to eat breakfast, rushes to work and faces several obstacles throughout the day. In each of these situations, there is an opportunity to practice wisdom. Instead of giving in to frustration, this person could take a moment to breathe deeply, adjust their perspective, and respond with equanimity, recognizing that what really matters is not what happens, but how they choose to react. By acting calmly and in control, she comes closer to wise behavior, which is a reflection of continuous learning in daily actions. Wisdom, therefore, does not need to be a distant goal or something reserved only for great philosophers, but can be achieved by anyone who is willing to observe and reflect on their everyday actions. For example, when interacting with others, we are constantly challenged to practice patience and empathy. Instead of judging or reacting impulsively, we can choose to listen carefully and seek to understand before responding. Every interaction, no matter how simple, offers a chance to cultivate wisdom. Daily tasks, often considered mundane and repetitive, can actually be transformed into teachable moments. Washing the dishes, tidying the house, organizing the work environment, all of these moments are opportunities for reflection and self-knowledge. By carrying out these activities with full attention, without rushing or distraction, we can transform these ordinary acts into moments of wisdom. In this process, we find true happiness and inner peace, as wisdom is not a distant state, but something that is built and revealed in the present. Stoic philosophy proposes that true wisdom lies in living according to the principles of virtue and self-mastery, not just in specific moments, but throughout our entire lives. This requires constant vigilance from us, full attention to our actions and our thoughts. When we dedicate ourselves to living with purpose and integrity, wisdom manifests itself in every aspect of our existence. Every small gesture, every decision we make becomes a way of practicing wisdom, thus becoming the very essence of our life. Deep down, wisdom is not a hidden treasure, reserved only for the enlightened few. It is within the reach of everyone who wants to look more deeply into their daily actions, transforming their routine into a constant exercise in self-discovery and improvement. By seeking wisdom in each moment, we learn to live more mindfully, with more clarity and with more balance. And in doing so, we discover that wisdom is not just in great deeds or great ideas, but first and foremost in the small choices we make every day. Adopting these habits is more than a change in routine. It's a transformation of mindset. Stoic philosophy is timeless because it teaches us to navigate life with wisdom and balance. If this video inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and activate the bell to receive more content like this. See you in the next video. Video description for YouTube. Change your life in 7 days with these 10 habits. Stoicism. Have you ever wondered how to transform your life in just 7 days? Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, may be the key to achieving a more balanced, happy, and resilient life. In this video, we'll explore 10 powerful habits that can shift your perspective and put you on the path to personal growth. Practice Stoic philosophy and discover how the wisdom of great thinkers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius can transform your daily life. Throughout the video, you will learn how to meditate on serenity and find inner peace, avoid hasty judgments, and cultivate a more open mind, practice resilience in difficult times, and transform adversities into opportunities. Seek wisdom in daily actions and apply Stoicism in your everyday life. These habits, when applied consistently, have the power to change the way you live, providing not only a stronger mindset, but also a more peaceful and fulfilling life. What you'll learn in this video is a way to transform your worldview and create habits that promote temperance, resilience, and personal growth. No matter your starting point, the journey to a wiser, more serene life begins here. Get ready to dive into Stoic philosophy and apply its teachings at your own pace. Did you like the video? Subscribe to the channel. Activate the bell so you don't miss any more tips on personal development, philosophy, meditation, and Stoicism. Leave your like and share with your friends so we can spread wisdom together. Tags for SEO optimization: philosophy, Stoicism, philosophy, temperance. What is Stoicism? Wisdom, serenity, life lesson, personal growth, happiness, resilience, reflection, Stoic philosophy, health, Epicteto, mental, Seneca, personal development, Stoic meditation. Seneca meditates Stoicism, discipline, Marcus Aurelius. Also watch how Stoic philosophy can change your life. Stoic meditation for beginners, the art of living well. Lessons from Marcus Aurelius and Seneca.